John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hello, my name is John Ulzheimer. I am a consumer credit expert. I have almost 30 years of experience in the credit industry. I've spent time at FICO, which is the company behind the FICO credit scoring system, and Equifax, which is one of the 3 generally recognized credit reporting agencies in the United States. So today's question is regarding what people refer to as piggybacking or the authorized user strategy of building credit. And so let me explain what this strategy is, and then we'll talk about whether or not this is something that is generally promoted by banks and credit card issuers. So really the question is do banks and credit card issuers promote the use of authorized users or piggybacking in order to build credit? So what a piggybacking is kind of a pejorative term, meaning it's not really a flattering term, even though it's thrown around pretty liberally in the world of credit reporting and credit cards. Piggybacking is a term that describes a consumer being added to the credit card account of another consumer and then benefiting from that relationship in having a positive account placed on their credit report, having a lower utilization ratio, having an additional old card. So in other words, they're quote unquote piggybacking on a pre-existing credit card and benefiting from that relationship. So the question is do banks promote this? They absolutely do. I can point out a half a dozen large reputable credit card issuers / national banks that you've all heard of that have language on their websites that promote the use of authorized users as a method of building credit. It is not uncommon for people to not only build a credit report, but also rebuild a credit report, improve a credit score, establish credit for the first time. Any of those milestones that people generally tend to go through when it comes to their credit reports, it is not uncommon for piggybacking or the authorized user strategy to be a part of that journey, if you will. Yours truly, me, myself. When I started building credit back in the 1980s, back in the dark ages, I did it by being added to a Citibank credit card that was in my father's name, that was opened in, I think, 1965. It was a private label. It was a Sears credit card, and I think it was issued by Citibank. So the issue of piggybacking and authorized users is certainly nothing new. The strategy has been used for many, many decades successfully, and in most generally used credit scoring systems, authorized user accounts are considered in the calculation of a credit score, and so they benefit a consumer a variety of ways. Number one, they get a positive account on their credit reports. That's always good to have. Number two is if the card has a long credit history, meaning that it's been opened for a long time, then the age-related metrics in your credit score are going to benefit as a result. Number three, if the account has a large credit limit and either a low balance or no balance, then of course that's going to help to lower your revolving utilization ratio, and that's good for your FICO credit score. It's good for your Vantage Score credit score. It's generally good for all of the credit scores that are generally used today in the U.S. consumer credit market. I think sometimes piggybacking gets a bad reputation, and I don't know why, to be quite honest with you. It's not only is the strategy promoted by some banks, but it's also generally included on the list of articles, how do I build or rebuild my credit? You'll commonly see things like, take out a secured credit card, have somebody co-sign for you, open a retail store credit card, become an authorized user on someone else's credit card. It's a common inclusion in most articles that are written about, that include advice on how to build or rebuild a credit score. So I actually don't think it's a problem at all. Banks will allow multiple consumers to become authorized users on other consumers' credit reports or credit cards, and they don't generally validate that there's any sort of pre-existing relationship between the two parties before they'll add one person on another consumer's credit card. Now, certainly, it's very common that an authorized user is a loved one, a spouse perhaps, or some sort of a known entity on someone else's credit card. So it's not uncommon for someone's spouse to be included as an authorized user, and certainly not unheard of for a consumer who is not a spouse, perhaps a sibling or a boyfriend or girlfriend, or some sort of consumer that they have some sort of a relationship with each other to become an authorized user on someone else's credit card. There really isn't a requirement that you have some sort of pre-existing relationship to become an authorized user. So those are my 2 cents regarding piggybacking and the use of authorized users. I walked that mile, so it'd be very hypocritical for me to be critical of the process or practice. But if you have any questions about it, drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get to them. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.